You know what the surprise is. This is the worst kept surprise in the history of politics, okay? But first of all, I want to thank you all. And we have thousands of people. They're coming in. But we want to start now. Let them just fill in. We'll do it as we go. But we're going to start right away. So here's the start. I've never done this before, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the introduction, okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? So listen. You know, normally they come out, they introduce Trump. Here I'm coming out, and I'm going to introduce Bobby Knight, okay? But listen to this. Listen to this. So I said, give me some. And one of the guys, and everybody knows it, 3 national championships, right? Tough. 1 Olympics championship, tough. A Pan Am Games. He won 900 games. That's a lot of games. Now, I didn't even realize this. I'm actually surprised by it. But it's tough. In 1976, he had a perfect season, the only one. That's it. There hasn't been one since. I'm surprised, right? Are we surprised? I mean, this guy knows how to coach. And he told me to say this because, frankly, I said, well, didn't you have another one like the year before? He said, no, say it this way, and they'll really appreciate it. Because I won't say it this way. I said, no, let me just say he had another great season. He lost 1 game. And he said, if he didn't screw up, he would have had 2 perfect seasons in a row. I said, I can't say that. He said, do it. I said, I'll do it. But you know what? So I'm going to have Bobby come out for a second, and I'll tell you, he's going to talk for a little while. Then I'm going to come right back out. I love you. I appreciate it very much. Bobby Knight, ladies and gentlemen, the great Bobby Knight. What a guy. Thank you, Bobby.
You folks, thank you. You folks are taking a look at the most prepared man in history to step in as President of the United States. That man right there. There has never been a presidential candidate prepared to the length that this man is. And let me say something, too. I am not here to represent the Republican Party, and I'm not here to represent any organization that deals with politics. I think the most important thing in the world is that we vote for the best man there is for this job, and you've already met him. You know, let me just tell you a few things that I think will happen under the Trump administration. First of all, let me have stand, hold your hands up, all former military people. I don't care what it is, all former military people. There will be no president who has ever had a better relationship with our military, nor they with them. Now, let's see a show of those hands one more time. Now, as you do that, I want all you Navy people to please raise your hands. All Navy people, raise your hands. And I want you to know that I spent 8 years teaching soldiers at the United States Military Academy, and we played Navy 8 straight years, folks, and we beat your ass every time we played you. And I love you just as much for your contributions to America as all the other venues of our military. And this man will see that that group of people that we so depend on is really taken care of and treated in the best way possible. You know, I've always thought, and I had a nice thing that I thought I might be able to do. You know, I want to say to you Indiana people that I owe you a big debt of gratitude, because nowhere in the world is a sporting group followed better than this state follows basketball. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity that I had to coach in this state. It will always be something that I will cherish. I think that I want you to think about one thing and I appreciate what Donald said relative to what our players did, the 900 wins and the long streak of not losing a game. But remember this, those players on their shirt wore one word, and it was Indiana. Now, you folks have a great opportunity here. You folks voting for Donald Trump and throwing him over the top. If you people will do this, you will be having our government take its first step toward what all of us want America to be like. I had these, they talk in a negative way when they want to about Donald, and they talk about, he isn't presidential. I don't know what the hell that means. To me, I think of Harry Truman. They said Harry Truman wasn't presidential. And damn, he went on to be one of the 3 best presidents in United States history. And he will at some point be one of those also. And I think that how many of you have a sister, a brother, a daughter, a son, a friend in the military of any kind? Raise your hands, all of you that have that. How many of you have relatives or you yourselves that go overseas, sometimes in sticky situations, sometimes problems can result? How many of you have that in your lives? Well, let me tell you something that you can thank this man for. Let me tell you something that will make your trips abroad much easier and much more comfortable than ever before. Under his administration, there will never be another thing like what happened in Benghazi. That will never happen in a Trump administration. The military of the United States, and in every branch of that military, will get the absolute best care that they can possibly get from the next president of the United States. The military will have that. You know, one of the best things to do in this job that Mr. Trump is going to undertake is get good people. And he does a great job of finding good people and teaching good people. And even as important, he's damn good at getting rid of bad people, too. Now, I think you're going to leave here tonight, and after you've heard Mr. Trump talk, and there has never been a more honest politician than Donald Trump. Well, after you have seen him and listened to him, I think you'll be in a hurry to get out there and vote for him. I want you to know that you have this great opportunity, as I said, to push him over the top by voting for him as soon as you can and putting us in the best position for you having done that this country has ever been in, getting going where we all want to be. You people, if you will do that, if you will get us started on the road, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to you. They're going to take all you people, what you did to give us Donald Trump, they're going to take all you people and they're going to put you right next to our founding fathers and George Washington. That's what the hell they're going to do with you people. And you will be responsible for the shift that America will make into what we want America to be if you will vote for Donald Trump. And with that, I simply say to you, I'll talk to you one other thing about Donald Trump and how he operates and how he gets things done. Johnny walked into his dad's office one morning and said, "Dad, did Mom tell you I passed the driver's test?" "Well, son, she did tell me that, and I'm really proud of you. She told me that the trooper that gave you the test said you had the best written test and the best driving test of anybody that he's ever had. And I'm so proud of you, son." "Well, now, Dad, will that give me an opportunity maybe to drive your car or Mom's car once in a while?" And, "Well, son, this is the man in charge I'm talking about now, or it could be the lady in charge. But this is all about the person that's in charge." And he said to his son, "Well, sure, son. There'll be a time for you to use one of our cars. However, there are some prerequisites. Your mother is not real happy with the way you treat your brother and sister. Your grades are 2 below what they should be. And I've talked to you, son, about reading, and I never seen you read. And I've talked to you about the Bible because, son, there are a lot of good things in the Bible that don't have anything to do with religion. And then there's one last thing, son, and it's that damn long hair of yours. I've told you to get a haircut, and you haven't done it. Now, when you think you've done all of these things, son, we'll talk about driving the car." About 3 weeks later, Johnny comes in to talk to his dad and said, "Dad, I wanted to talk to you. I think I've done a lot of things that you asked me to do. Son, I'm proud of you. Your grades, the way Mom feels, the way you're treating your brother and sister, and all those things we talked about, those prerequisites. Really good in all of them. But there's one thing left, son. It's that damn long hair of yours. And you haven't done a thing with it. Now, this is the man in charge. And that's this man right here." And that boy looked at him and he said, "Well, Dad, you know, you got me to read the Bible." And I did. And when I read the Bible, I learned a lot of things. But I also learned, Dad, that Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Jesus himself all had long hair, Dad. And the man in charge looked at that kid and he said, "Son, you are absolutely right." And they walked their ass off everywhere they went. I again thank you for giving me the opportunity to coach basketball in this state. And now I want to give you the very best choice that's ever been made on the man taking over at his first job as a president, and I give you Donald Trump.
What a winner. What a winner that is. That's a great man. It's a great man. You know, our country doesn't win anymore. That's what we need right there, let me tell you. But I do have to tell you this story. So with, Bobby, so about a year ago, I got a call. I never knew Bobby. I knew of Bobby. He was great. I love watching him. I love that attitude, right? That attitude. And one of his friends is here today, a very good basketball player from the past. And he said, this guy, he would take a team that wasn't as good and they would just beat everybody and nobody understood it. But there was something special. But about a year ago, I got a call from Bobby Knight. I didn't know Bobby Knight. I said, wait a minute, the basketball man? The man that's the man in Indiana? And they said, yeah. So I get on the phone, we checked it out, and it was Bobby Knight. And he said, Donald, I just want to tell you, I want you to run. This was before I decided, before that big day on June 16th coming down the escalator. He said, I want you to run. My friends all want you to run. And you'll be great. And I'd like to endorse you. I said, Coach, what an honor that is. And do me a favor. Give me a number and maybe I'm going to be calling you back, right? And then we had all these great victories. I think I've won now 28 states where big night last night. We had a big night last night. We had five. We had 5 landslides actually last night. That was a biggie, right? So I said, thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate it. I took the number. I wrote it down. I put it in a special place. And I said, let's see what I do. A few months later, I said, I'm going to run. Too much. I just couldn't take it anymore. I'm looking at these horrible deals made by politicians that are taken care of by their campaign. They're taken care of by special interests and lobbyists. And in some cases, they're incompetent, okay? And in some cases, they're outright stupid to be doing the deals they're doing. It's one of the 3. But I said, I'm going to run. And I said, let's see how we do. And I went and we started winning. We won New Hampshire in a big upset, won by a landslide. They're upsets, and yet we're winning all these landslides. And then we had no chance in South Carolina. We had no chance whatsoever in South Carolina, and we won in a landslide. And the evangelicals voted for Trump. And we went to the South, and we won. And we went to Nevada, and we won. And we won Alabama and Arkansas, and we won Florida by 20 points. And every place we were winning. And now, about 2 weeks ago, it's getting ready, and you don't know how important you are, because we're just about ready to put it away, folks, okay? And Indiana, which is a special place, I have so many friends, the Hilberts, Tommy, Sue, and Steve are here someplace. They're unbelievable people, employed thousands and thousands of people over the years, great people. But I have so many friends from Indiana. So I said, it's amazing. It looks like Indiana is going to be really important. By this time, usually, by the time you get to Indiana, a race is decided. But we had 17 people. It's never been in the history of politics in this country. There's never been 17 before. And I always say, what do you mean I didn't get 50%? Like with all these people, if I get 32% with 14 people left, that's like 90%. But anyway, so it came and we're winning and we had some great victories. Then we won New York 2 weeks ago with tremendous numbers in a landslide. And then we had last night. But about 3 weeks ago, I said, boy, this Indiana is turning out to be a very important place, as it should be, right? And I said to myself, and I speak to friends in Indiana, but I said to myself, and who would be the greatest endorsement in the history of Indiana? And I said, I have to find that phone number, right? And I went out and I found the phone number right away. I knew exactly where it was. And I called up Coach Knight, Bobby. And I said, Coach, do you remember me, Donald Trump? He said, I remember you. I've been waiting for you to call. It's a cool cat. You know, this is a cool cat. And he said, I've been waiting for you to call, and I'm ready. You just let me know whenever you want me. And I mean, this guy is terrific. This is a winner. He's a champ. He's been so great for Indiana. He loves Indiana. He loves Indiana. And to have his endorsement is just an honor. And I just want to give him a little special hand, because just special guy, folks. There aren't too many of them. I want to tell you, I know a lot about the world. There aren't too many of them. There are very few. And you certainly don't find them very often in politics, that I can tell you. You know, you've been seeing these crazy deals that they're making. They're like desperate. They make the deal where Cruz calls. He's losing badly. He's losing all over. In fact, Lion Ted, right? Lion Ted. He's an outright liar. Boy, you know, I watched him the other night. Now, I always start off, I say, we will repeal and replace Obamacare. We're going to cut Common Core. We're going to bring our education local. We're going to preserve our Second Amendment. You know, everything. Everybody knows. So I watched him the other night. Donald Trump absolutely loves Obamacare. I said, what? He's telling this to an audience. Believe me, folks, we're going to repeal it and replace it. Okay. Then he goes, he doesn't want to bring education local. He wants it coming out of Washington, D.C. I mean, the guy's going one after another after another. And, of course, then last night he called the rim a ring, so he doesn't know too much about the basketball world. But one after another. And, I mean, literally, he would take what I said and say the exact opposite. And I'm watching the screen. I said to my wife, that is a terrible thing. That is a terrible. And, you know, it was interesting when I was on the debate stage, because we had 11 debates that I was in, and won every single one of them according to Drudge and Time and all of these great places. And won every single one. But I was with my wife, and I'm watching his stuff. I can't watch him for long periods, you know. We will this, oh, the flourish, I have such a headache. You get a headache watching this guy. Boy, it's terrible. But I said to my wife, it's terrible that he can get away with it, where he can say everything I said, exactly the opposite. And some people believe it. And I said, isn't that terrible? She said, nobody believes it, darling. Really, nobody believes it. They've heard your speech before. Believe me, they don't believe it. He even said, I'm not going to build the wall. Can you believe it? He said, he is not going to build the wall. Folks, we're going to build the wall. Believe me. Believe me. We're going to build that wall. Oh, we're going to build that wall, and you know who's going to pay for that wall? Not even a question of a doubt. You know, they called me over after a debate, some of the politicians, a few weeks ago, when we had some left. Now we're down to 2 stragglers. Let's be nice. 2 stragglers. They're straggling along. But they called me over, and they said, you know, 6 months ago, they said, Donald, you know you'd never be able to build a wall. I said, of course you can. You know, China, you know the story. A 13,000-mile wall 2,000 years ago. We have 2,000, of which you need 1 because you have a lot of natural barriers. And we're talking about $10 billion. And they owe us, if you look at the trade imbalance, just take a look at it. Not only with China, where it's $500 billion a year. We're going to end that, folks, very quickly, okay? But Mexico, with Mexico, we're talking about $58 billion a year, okay? I mean, on trade, 58 billion, right? They do better. They have the good side. We have the bad side. You know what that means. So they're doing very well. That doesn't include all the drugs that are being sent across the border and poisoning our youth. Now, I have respect for Mexico. I have respect for the Mexican leaders. I love the Mexican people. I'm leading in certain polls. You saw in Nevada, I was leading in the polls with Hispanics. And the reason is I'm going to bring jobs back. We're bringing jobs back to our country. We're not going to let Carrier leave. We're going to take numbers. We're going to do numbers. There are consequences when you leave. And we'll talk about Carrier because say what you want, Indiana. I've been talking about Carrier now for 4 months, right? Before I even knew that we were going to be coming, I mean, literally from the day. So with all of the things that are going on, and with everything that we're seeing, and with all of the people that we've seen, there's nobody that's going to be able to do what we're going to do together as a movement. We have a movement going on. Nobody has seen anything like it. And when I can get somebody like Coach Knight, and when we get other people, we have tremendous people supporting us. You know Jeff Sessions. Okay, now, when Cruz gets up, he always talks about, he doesn't anymore because about 4 weeks ago he endorsed me, so he's not talking. But the man he most respects in the United States Senate is a great man, Senator Jeff Sessions from Alabama. And he came out and endorsed Donald Trump. And I don't believe he's ever endorsed a presidential candidate before. And Dr. Ben Carson has been phenomenal. And Chris Christie. And Sarah Palin. And Jerry Falwell Jr. of Liberty University is the job he's done. We have such unbelievable support. And no matter where we go. But what happens, and I watch as these horrible stories are being told by even, I mean, you look, I don't like the way that Kasich eats. Okay. But that's okay. But I don't like the way that Cruz talks. And then they outsmarted themselves. They went out. Don't forget, Kasich, he raised his hand and voted for NAFTA. Perhaps the single worst deal economically made in the history of this country. It emptied our country of jobs. Our manufacturing jobs are a disaster. And in this area, you see what's happened to your manufacturing. You're down 40%. Everybody's down. All over the country. I just left New York State, down. I just left Pennsylvania. I left Connecticut. I left Maryland. Everybody down. NAFTA, a disaster. Signed, by the way, by Bill Clinton, just so you understand. One of the great disasters. So what Cruz did is he was losing and losing badly. He was losing so badly the New York thing was a great embarrassment. And you know, it's interesting. The weekend that we had, you had Utah and you had Arizona that same weekend. By the way, speaking of great endorsements, Jan Brewer, great, the governor. And it's great. She's been so great. And how about Joe Arpaio? How good is he? Sheriff Joe. The toughest man and he's fair. But he is tough on the border, right? So Cruz, when they did this little marriage of the two of them, boy, did that backfire, right? What a disaster. And then on top of it, Kasich comes out and says, well, I'm going to continue. I want them to vote for me. What a disaster. So they were embarrassed. They're getting terrible press. And what it is an act. It's collusion. It's an act of desperation. But you know, in business, when you collude, they put you in jail. Politics is such a rigged deal that it's probably one of the few places that you can collude and get away with it. But they went out and they collude, and it has been catastrophic. And I can only tell you, my people, I have the best people in Indiana working for us, wanting to make sure, because what Bobby said is true. If we win Indiana, it's over. It's over. And I can only promise you, it's over. And they have these phony groups, you know, no Trump or never Trump or whatever. And they follow me. I mean, these people are terrible. And by the way, you notice they're getting smaller and smaller. They spent in Florida, they had 15,000 ads, negative. And they weren't true. Some had a little truth to them, but most of them, a little bit. But 15,000. I've had 55,000 negative ads. And a guy like, as an example, Kasich, he says, well, I do very well. And by the way, we had a poll yesterday with Hillary Clinton where now we're even. I haven't even started on her. We haven't even started. You know, it's sort of funny. It's like Bobby knows how to win and some people, I know how to win. And, I start off with 17 people, and they're governors, and they're senators, and they're people like, as an example, Dr. Ben Carson, highly, highly competent, smart, great, wonderful man, but smart. But I start off with 17 people, and I knock off a senator who was going to win. I knock off a governor who was going to win. Then a senator, then a governor, then a governor, then a senator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then Bobby jokes about presidential. I'm a little afraid to be too presidential because maybe we'll stop winning. We have to win. So now we're down to the end. We're down to the end. And we are just we have something that's never happened, they say, in the history of our country. We have a movement going, just like all of these people. Look at that, all the way up top. Just like all of the people, no matter where we go. Pennsylvania, we had a crowd in Pennsylvania. It was unbelievable. We turned down, we had 25,000 people, and 10,000 people couldn't get in. It's crazy. It's wild. And you know what? We're looking for the answer. The answer is we're not going to let the world take advantage of us anymore. We're not going to let our very incompetent politicians take advantage of us anymore. We're not going to do it. So these guys formed the group, and they formed the, little deal, and it turns out to be a disaster. I get a call at 11:30 2 nights ago, and one of my people, great person, says to me, Mr. Trump, bad news. What? Cruz and Kasich just formed like an alliance where Kasich promises never to step foot in the state of Indiana, has to stay out. I said, what about all the people that have been working for him? He's got workers like I have. We all have work. That's not very fair to them. By the way, they're out there striking now. They're very angry. They say, what happened? That's a politician. Number one, they can't make a deal. Number two, they can't keep a deal. And number three, they treat their people very badly. They don't get it. But what happened is they make this deal. And I said to the guy, I said, they want a response, the press. I said, let's do it. So at 11:30 in the evening, I'm typing up a press release. I'm giving this little dictation. And we put out a press release. And I said, after about 2 seconds of thinking, I said, I think that's a really bad idea that they're doing this because it shows total weakness. They're admitting that they're done. They're done. By the way, neither of them have a path to victory. There is no path. And we're going to win, as you know. You read all this stuff from the world's most dishonest people right back there, the media. They are so dishonest. They are so bad. But you read all this stuff about, Cruz trying to get delegates. He's getting delegates on the second, third, fourth, fifth round. It's never going to get there, folks. Let them work. They're taking the people for dinner. They're putting them in hotels. They're taking them for rides around town. They're putting them on boats. Let's take a tour of the rivers. I got to tell you, it's disgusting. You can bribe your way into the presidency. I don't want to do that. And nobody has better toys than me. Believe me, if I want to do it, nobody can compete. It's just so wrong. It's so wrong to do it. But they're talking about second, third, fourth. We're not going to get there. We're on the first round. And especially, by the way, after last night, because last night we said if we get 75 delegates, we'll be happy. Well, we got, I think, 109, and we got 109. We wiped the slate, and more to come, and more to come. It's a rigged system. And I tell the story, and you people like it because Indiana loves its sports. But it's a rigged system, and it's like the prize fighters. And I know Mike Tyson endorsed me. I love it. He sent out a tweet. Mike, Iron Mike. All the tough guys endorsed me. I like that, okay? But Mike said, I love Trump. I endorse Trump. And that's the end. I'm sure he doesn't know about your economic situation in Indiana. It's okay. But Mike, everybody. And I like it. When I get endorsed by the tough ones, I like it. Because you know what? We need toughness now. We need toughness. Hillary Clinton said recently, I don't like Donald Trump's tone. Look, they're chopping off heads of Christians in the Middle East. And anybody else that gets in their way, by the way. And we will rebuild. We will have, when I finish, the strongest, most powerful military anywhere in the world. And very quickly, we will knock the hell out of ISIS. Believe me, we're going to get rid of them. We're going to get rid of them. So anyway, just because I find this stuff so interesting. You know, I've been a politician now for 9 months. Hey, Bill O'Reilly, good guy. Tough. He's tough. Every time I go on, I leave, I have a headache, okay? But he's tough and he's smart. And the other night he's talking to somebody. And the somebody said, whatever. And Bill said, in my lifetime, Donald Trump is the single greatest and biggest political event I have ever witnessed. Right? That's big. The greatest political event. And I said, really? I was very impressed. And then Brit Hume, who he was talking to, who hates me. This guy, brutal. I mean, he's brutal. So many of them do. But, you know, a lot of them are coming around now. Do you notice? They're coming around. But Brit Hume said essentially the same thing. One of the greatest political events they've ever witnessed. One of the greatest political events in history. And it's not me, folks. I'm the messenger. You're the political event. You are. And every place like you. Every single place like you. You know, no matter where we go, whether we go to Dallas, no matter where we go, we have thousands and thousands. In Dallas, we had 21,000 people. In Alabama, we had 35,000 people. Think of this. I won Alabama in a landslide, almost 50%. And almost the same weekend, I won Massachusetts with almost 50%. And people said, that's amazing. And don't forget, there were a lot of people in the race. So when you say almost 50%, that's a lot. But it's been an amazing thing. And it's been on the cover of Time magazine many times. It's been the cover of many other magazines. It's been on the cover of all the newspapers. They don't know what to do with us, folks, because we're sick and tired of being run by people that truly have not a clue in the world what the hell they're doing. And we're going to change it, and we're going to change it fast. We're going to change it. So just to finish, they formed this alliance, or whatever you want to call it, and it was a collude. I call them the colluders, right? The colluders. I love talking about it, because what stupid decisions. So immediately that deal is breaking up. I made a speech today in Washington in the big press club. It was fantastic. I mean, the whole scene was great. I actually got good reviews. They gave me great reviews. Right. And it was about national security, and we're really leading the polls on national security, on the economy, on jobs. We're leading the polls in almost every category. On the borders, but we're leading the polls in virtually every category. And by the way, on June 16th, I told you when I announced, almost from that time, we've been number one. Almost right from the beginning. We started off, and these guys were saying, he's never going to run. Then they said, well, he just ran. I mean, he just announced. What's going on? Then they said, he'll never sign Form A. Form A is where you sign and you're signing your life away. Then they said, oh, he'll never, forget it. He'll never show his financials. You know, I'm a private company. I showed my financials. In fact, then they said he's going to delay because they don't know. What do they know? These people know nothing. I wasn't going to run. Now they're saying, how do we stop him? This is, you know, they're taking it a little. But I gave the financials, the largest ever filed in the history of the Elections Commission. And the press, it was like a feeding frenzy. And they found out I built a great, great company. I borrowed $1 million not so long ago, and now it's worth more than $10 billion. $10 billion. Low debt. Tremendous assets, some of the great assets of the world, buildings all over, Turnberry in Scotland, Doral in Miami, tremendous places, right? But low debt, great cash flow, iconic assets, and that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm saying this because it doesn't matter. What does matter is this is the kind of thinking, and Bobby understands this like better than anybody. This is the thinking we need in our country, at least for a period of time. We got to straighten things out, folks. We got to straighten it out. And we're going to. And we're going to stream it. So anyway, so they crashed now and they're fighting. Kasich and Cruz are fighting. Welcome to the world of politics. They can't do it. They don't know how to make deals. They can't. That's why China, they look at our politicians, it's like a field day. They have the smartest people in China. It's like a pyramid scheme. The smartest people in China. And they come in waves. They'll have 20 people. I know, I made a lot of money with China. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. The Bank of America building in San Francisco, a big chunk. 1290 Avenue of the Americas. The biggest bank in the world is a tenant of mine of one of my buildings in Manhattan. China's great. We can deal with China. I sell condos to them for tens of millions of dollars, right? We can do great with China. But we have incompetent people. We have people that are nothing. I don't even know how they get there as our negotiators. We have the greatest negotiators in the world. And I know them. Carl Icahn endorsed me. Some of the greatest business people in the world endorsed me. They don't want money. They would love to make great deals. They can't understand why does the United States do it. And we have negotiating against the Chinese, against the Japanese, against the Mexicans, against political hacks. And they're robbing us blind. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our money. We owe them trillions. You know, we owe China $1.8 trillion. We owe them. Think of it. They take our jobs and we owe them money. It's not supposed to be that way. Japan sends cars in by the millions. I don't mean like a few cars. So they send us millions of cars. I mean, you can't believe it. I look at the boats coming in Los Angeles, these big ships, the biggest ships you've ever seen. It looks like NASCAR, the way they drive them off. And we love NASCAR, I have to tell you. We love Brian France. Brian France is a great guy. The owner, the head, what a great guy. But this reminds me of NASCAR. The cars are pouring off. We send them practically nothing. You talk about a trade imbalance. It's like Japan here and we're down below the podium. We can't have that anymore, folks. We've got to have fairness. We've got to have balance. And we've got to have our jobs back. Okay, we're going to have our jobs back. We're going to have our jobs back. And we can't have guys like Kasich, who wants NAFTA, who cleaned us out, and Cruz, who doesn't want to stop Chinese manipulation of currency. He fought like hell the Chinese manipulation. And let me tell you about Cruz. Here's a guy who's been a senator for a while. He hasn't done one thing in the Senate except filibuster one time. That's the only thing he did. And look, I know the way life works. A lot of you people, I have friends here. I have a few that are great friends, actually, and they're smart. And they go like, give me a break. So what happens? He's filibustering. And I watched. And these senators are sitting down. And they go, and Jim, when's this guy getting the hell off the floor? So we can get some work done. And even if they don't get the work done, they say, what's he doing? So he does for 2 days, he filibusters. Doesn't get anything. Except he makes the top man, who's actually a good guy, Mitch McConnell, he calls him a liar. I mean, you know what? You don't do things that way. And I'm tougher. You know, I meet business people. I deal with business people. Somebody said, how do the politicians compare to the business people? Let me tell you, the business people are much tougher. But a guy like Ted Cruz, the one thing he does, he lies more than any human being I've ever met. Hence we call him Lying Ted. You ever see him? I love this. Where he walks in with the Bible held high, right? It's Lying Ted. He puts the Bible down and then he lies. And you know the reason I'm getting all of the evangelical support, I'm getting tremendous evangelical support. Don't forget, I wasn't supposed to win South Carolina. I won it because of the evangelicals. They were unbelievable. I won it landslide. Same thing with Alabama, Arkansas, so many different places. Because the evangelicals are smart and they don't like liars. Remember that. Just remember that. So, just to finish with that, because I love this, I love politics and it's so different. I mean, I've been doing it for 9 months. I'm doing a good job, right? Do we have to say? Right? I mean, the one thing they say, even some of these sleazy, horrible reporters, even if they hate me, The one thing they say, you know, it's sort of funny. The results came out from last night, and I'm watching the different shows in the morning. Good shows. Good shows. Steve Ducey, Brian, the whole thing. I mean, a lot of good shows. Mika, right? We like Mika and Joe. A lot of good shows. Chris. But I'm watching them, and they're saying landslide, landslide. Trump wins this one. He wins Pennsylvania. He wins Maryland. He wins Rhode Island. He wins Delaware. He wins Connecticut. A landslide. And then one of them said, you know the amazing part? He's only been doing this for 9 months. It's sort of amazing, right? Sort of amazing. I'll tell you the other amazing part, which to me isn't amazing. The business people will understand that. So I've spent a lot of money, but relatively I've spent very little. I spent less money than any other candidate running. Now, I'm self-funding. I'm putting up my own money, right? Right? But I spent less money than any other candidate running. I probably spent like $40 million. That's a lot of money, okay? Not that bad, but it's a lot. You have other guys that have spent 4 and 5 times that. Now, I'm number one by a lot, and you have these other guys that are down in the basement and they've spent 5 times more money than me. Who the hell do you want as your president, right? Who do you want? I mean, look, we know. We know. All right, so just to finish with the political stuff, I sort of love it. You know, my son's here, Don Jr. He's doing really well. Where's Don? Get up here. Boy, he's doing a good job. He was on CNN the other day on Sunday with Jake. True. He was on CNN on Sunday with Jake. Jake's tough. He's smart. He's fair. Yeah, pretty fair. But Jake was grilling him, and this guy was unbelievable. In fact, I was writing down some of the things he was saying. Anyway, say hello to Don Jr. Loves Indiana.
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here and to just be a part of this. Just to be a fly on the wall and watch this incredible experience where you have someone who's never done this, who's actually created real jobs. Someone who signs the front of paychecks. I love watching TV and watching the politicians talk about job creation and everything they know, and the only people they've ever employed are lobbyists. We're going to change that. And again, it's exciting to be here to watch this, because until this all happened and this phenomenon happened, people, even political people, didn't understand how badly the system is rigged. They didn't understand, and you don't understand, and didn't understand until my father pointed out, hey, oftentimes your vote doesn't even matter. And you know what? Why go through with this? Why watch 30 debates if I see another countdown clock for in 72 weeks and 4 minutes, you're going to have another major announcement? You're all vested. You've been watching this thing for a year. Why do it if your vote doesn't matter? Show this country that your vote matters. Bring someone in here who's not a politician. Bring someone in here who understands job creation, who understands deal making, who won't just tell you what you want to hear and then go write whatever the people who are stroking the big checks to their campaigns, whatever they want to do. That's gospel. You know, they'll tell you what you want to hear and then do exactly the opposite. It's time for a change. Now, if you think it's been working and you think the system's great, then stick with it. But I don't think anyone believes it. No one believes it. It's time for a change. Give him a shot. I've watched him do this for 40 years almost now. No one's going to work harder for you. Thank you very much. Let's make America great again.
It's nice to have a son that loves you, right? It's good. And by the way, I have to say this. So I know the most successful people in the world. Many of them. Almost all of them, I think. And I'll tell you, the happiest people, and this is so true, the happiest people are the people with great families, loving families. I'm serious. I know people with so much money, and money does not make you happy. It solves certain problems, in all fairness, not so bad. But the happy people are the people with great families, great wives and husbands, and I just want to tell you that. So whatever. So just to finish off our political stuff, and thank you, Don, but just to finish off our political is that now the new thing is how do we get off this horrible, horrible thing that they created between the two of them? So today I'm in the plane and I see on television they have a new relationship has started. Cruz and Carly. No. First of all, you have to look. Cruz can't win. What's he doing picking vice presidents? Can't win. You know, on television they say it nicely. He has no path to victory. That's a nice expression, right? No path to victory. He's got no path to victory. He's mathematically eliminated. It's like if you're playing in the World Series and your team loses a certain game. He's mathematically eliminated. He has set a record, though. He is the first presidential candidate in the history of this country who's mathematically eliminated from becoming president, who chose a vice presidential candidate. Okay? It's a record. Hey, look, honestly, I wish him well, but folks, they're not going to do it for you. They're not going to do it. So I wanted to tell you that we're all going home, but this is going to be, I'm here for like 3 days and I'm coming back for 3 days. I'm not playing games with Indiana. You are going to get so tired of me, you're going to say, oh no, I can't watch it anymore. Turn off the news, darling. I can't watch anymore. Turn off the news. Nope. We're going to win it. And honestly, what Bobby said is true. Indiana has such an important position. You know, normally by this time, it's sort of like it doesn't matter. It's over. It's been over for 4 weeks. This is an amazing thing. If I win, we're going to make this country great again, greater than ever before. And if I don't win in Indiana, I'll have to go on to other places, in Oregon and Washington State and California and New Jersey, and great places. But if we win in Indiana, you're really doing history, folks, because you're going to be so proud. You're going to be so proud. And all I have to do is read this. And I look at it and I ask my statisticians, I say, do me a favor. Give me some stats on the state of Indiana. And they just write them out. And this is a federal problem because you have a really good governor here. You have a nice guy and he's a good governor. I have to tell you, Mike. Mike is a good guy. And you can't help this. This is a national problem. This is a world problem where the world is killing us. Where Indiana, like everybody else, I mean, I won New York for the same reason. They're losing all their jobs. They're losing their manufacturing. In fact, I'd go to Albany and Rochester, and I'd go to all over the state of New York. And I don't even need the numbers anymore. It was almost like the same thing. 40% down, 50% down. I mean, if I wanted it accurate, I'd have to ask. But mostly, you don't even have to ask. Every community practically is just down. The manufacturing's gone. It's being manufactured in other places. And it's no good. And we can't allow it. And yes, it may cost a little bit more. But remember, if we make it ourselves, we're also going to have jobs. Okay? And the jobs will more. And I tell this to the press. They always say, well, if you do that, because I'm a free trader. But you can't be a free trader if you have stupid people negotiating for you. You can't. And I always say to the press, because they'll say, well, but won't the product be more? Now, in the case of Carrier air conditioning, not going to be more. It's going to be the same price. They're going to make a lot of money. So I've been talking. I hope Indiana remembers this, because this wasn't done for Indiana. I just thought it was terrible. Carrier air conditioner from Indianapolis, right? They left, and they had some upper mid-level management guy pretty viciously fire 1,400 great people who were here a couple of days ago when I was making a speech in a different area. And a lot of them were in the audience because they started, anybody from Carrier? We love you. Do you like Trump? Do you like Trump? Have I been talking from, look at this. How long have you worked for Carrier? 10 years. How about you? 17 years. All right. Stick with me, fellas. Don't worry. Same thing happened. And these Carrier guys are following me around. Where? How many years? How many years? 18 years. All right. And look at them. Great. These are great people. These are great people. But somebody had the cell phone camera on while this guy is pretty viciously letting go of 1,400 people. I've been talking about it for months because I got to see it on television. And I thought it was, if I didn't see the cell phone, if I didn't see what was going on, I wouldn't have. But he essentially said, "You're all fired. We're moving to Mexico." And I said, "Man, that's bad." I'm telling you, if I didn't see it on television, I wouldn't have brought it up. It would have been like another statistic that we don't understand as well. But it was terrible to watch it. So I said to myself, that's really something. I'm going to talk about that. And I started talking about it. Little did I know it would be so important that I'm talking about it with respect to you folks. But here's what should happen. You go to them and you have to fight to keep your companies. Now, do you think anybody in the Obama administration goes to see Carrier and say, "Stay here"? Do you think, okay? Do you think that anybody even thinks so? I don't even think they care, okay? Honestly, I don't even think they care. And that's why our country's going to hell. And that's why our real unemployment is probably 20% or damn close. You know, these phony numbers where if you stop looking for a job, you're considered statistically employed, right? Give me a break. Those numbers were done years ago for politicians to look good. So it looks like 5%. It's not 5%. Do you think all these thousands of people are going to be here just because there's a border? Maybe. The border's a big deal. Military, to me, always the big deal. But they're here because the economy and the job situation in this country is so bad. So here's what I would do. And I love telling the story because they do talk about presidential. And why aren't I? I'm presidential. They talk about the elites in Washington. Oh, really? They're elite. They're elite. Do you think they have a better plane than I have? I don't think so. They're elite. Do you think they have a better location? Do you think they have a nicer apartment? I don't think so. These are the elites. These are the elites. Like hell, they're the elites. These are people that don't have a clue. Believe me, I understand it. But I would do this. I would speak with the folks at Carrier, and I would say, if you leave, there are consequences. And here are the consequences. For 5 years, this country has been working on extremely complex formulas. And I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I know formulas better than anybody. They've worked on formulas that nobody knows. We're going to give them a little here. We're going to give them low-interest loans. You don't have to do any of that. Too complicated, too much corruption involved or could be involved. How about this, the government giving low-interest loans? That'd be fun, right? The government now is our banker. You don't have to do it. Too complicated. What you do is you say the following. Carrier, here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave Indiana. You're going to leave Indianapolis. I wish you a lot of luck in Mexico. Enjoy the heat. Enjoy the heat. And I hope you build a really beautiful factory. But here's what's going to happen. Every single air conditioning unit that you make that's going to go right now over an extremely strong border. No longer Swiss cheese, folks. It won't be Swiss cheese. We will have the wall. We will be charging you a 35% tax, every single unit. Every single unit. And I'd say the same to Ford, who's building a $2.5 billion plant for cars and trucks and parts. They're going to make the cars. They're going to make the trucks. They're going to make the parts. They're going to send them like we're a bunch of jerks, okay? Again, free trade, great, but it's not working for us. It's not working for us. Not working for us. Our places, our states are being wiped out. They're being abandoned. Not working for us. But here's how we fix it. So we say to all of them, Nabisco leaving Chicago to go to Mexico. That's right, he knows. No more Oreos. He said it. Why? So here's what we do. 35% tax, Mr. Carrier. 35% tax every time. So here's what happens. If I'm Kasich, or if I'm Cruz, or if I'm crooked Hillary Clinton, crooked Hillary, No, if you're crooked Hillary Clinton and you're there, your lobbyist is going to call you. Your special interest people are going to call you. Your people that gave you a lot of money are going to call you. And they're going to say, you can't do that to Carrier. I own a piece of the company. I own 12 shares. You can't do that. And we gave you $1 million to run for office. And when you run in 4 years, we're going to give you a lot more than that. You can't do that. And every one of them will back down. Me, I don't back down. Me, I'm working for you, folks. I'm working for you. I'm working for you. So they'll call me and they'll try and say, well, Mr. President, I said, do me a favor, don't even call. I won't even take the call. I'll be too busy solving other problems, right? And here's what's going to happen. 100%. Just as you're standing here and sitting there. The beautiful thing, even the people that are sitting, they never sit. They never sit at my events. The people that have seats, they don't sit. That's a great sign of respect. Is that right? I tell a lot of times, sit down, sit down. They refuse. They stand for an hour. But here's the story. Here it is. They're going to call me and they're going to say, Mr. President, Carrier has decided to stay in Indiana. Thank you, sir. And by the way, 100%, okay? 100. It's not like we have an 80% chance of keeping them or a 95%. 100%. Now, what happens when you do that? Number one, they're going to leave and we're going to make a fortune. Or they're going to stay and we're going to have our jobs. Very simple. It's really not a complicated thing. Same thing with China. You can't do business with China. It's almost impossible. I have many friends. They're great manufacturers. They try and deal with China. They can't get the product in. But China dumps stuff over here. They're ruining your steel industry. Oh, we're going to bring back your steel in Indiana. Don't worry about it. We're going to bring back your steel. They're killing you. They're killing your steel. In Pittsburgh, I was in Pittsburgh. You see what's going on. China is killing the steel industry, okay? And by the way, they're dumping. They're purposely killing it. And I want the jobs. And if the steel costs a little more, I want the jobs. It offsets it, and it's even to our advantage. Believe me. Okay? Believe me. Believe me. So what's going to happen is we're going to change things around quickly. And we're going to get the respect of other countries that no longer respect us. They don't respect us. They don't respect our president. They don't respect our country anymore. Because they think everybody's like them. Everybody's stupid. Okay? And we're not going to have that happen anymore. And we are going to bring back our jobs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is the following. Our country doesn't win anymore. You know that. We don't win with war. We can't beat ISIS. We don't win with education. We're at the bottom of the barrel. We don't win with health care. Obamacare is a disaster. We don't win even with the Second Amendment. They're trying to chip away. I'll protect that Second Amendment like you won't believe, okay? So, and I refuse to read you the stats because you'll walk out of here totally depressed. But don't be depressed. I tell people, make America great again is a very positive thought. A writer for one of the big papers said, Mr. Trump, make America great again. It's such a negative thought. I said, no. That's not negative. That's positive. Because we're going to make America great again. So I don't have to read you that your manufacturing is down, that you've lost thousands of jobs recently, that Carrier air conditioning is leaving, that others are leaving. Doesn't matter. Because we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast. And I'll work with the local governments so that the local governments will be able to have some oomph and some power when they negotiate with these characters that built companies on your back, and now they're going to leave and they're going to fire everybody, including the two wonderful guys there and the one wonderful person right over there. But look, here's the story. So we don't win anymore. On Tuesday, you got to do this. You got to go vote. Who's going to vote? You better believe it. On Tuesday, you got to vote. And you're going to look back in 5 years, in 15 years, in 30 years, hopefully in 45 years, and you're going to say that that was the greatest single vote in my life that I've ever cast for Donald Trump as president. And you might even say, I didn't even like him, but I love Bobby Knight and I believe in Bobby Knight, okay? And that's okay. But I promise you, we are going to do a spectacular job. We are going to start winning again. We're going to win with our military. We're going to build it up. We're going to knock the hell out of our bad enemy. And hopefully, we're not going to have to use our military. Hopefully, we don't have to. We're going to knock ISIS. But hopefully, we're going to be so strong, so powerful, so smart that nobody's going to mess with us, folks. It's the cheapest thing we can do. We're going to take care of our vets because our vets are a part of it. And our vets are being mistreated. We're going to get rid of Common Core. We're going to bring our education local. We're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to have great health care. We are going to have strong borders. We're going to have strong, powerful borders. We're going to have the wall, and people can come into our country. We want them to come into our country, but they have to come in legally, okay? Legally. And we are going to make trade deals that are going to go from horrendous, perhaps the worst deals ever made, literally in the history of the world, to good, solid, wonderful deals that are really positive for our country. And they're fine for the other side. You know, there is another side. But we're going to make great deals for our country. I'm thinking about America first. I'm not thinking about others. I'm thinking about America first. And folks, I have fun doing this. I love doing it. And everybody likes it. But we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win with the military. We're going to win with the Second Amendment. We're going to win with Obamacare. We're going to win with Common Core. We're cutting the hell out of it. Get local. Right? We're going to win. You're going to beg me, Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't stand it anymore, Mr. President. We're winning too much. And I'm going to say, Indiana, I'm sorry. We're going to keep winning. We're going to make America great again. And we are going to do it. Go out on Tuesday and vote. I love you, Indiana. I love you. Thank you. Thank you.